Xiaomi has just rolled out HyperOS 3.0, and I know there'll be some people when they first get this update that will be like, maybe shocked, and then excited, then worried, and then maybe a little confused, because the changes made by Xiaomi may not be immediately apparent. So in this video, I hope to make the upgrades to HyperOS a little more transparent for you. And disclaimer, not everything I show you in this video will be brand new. Some of the upgrades are just refreshed graphics and animations, but there's definitely a bunch of brand new stuff that you need to know. And if you stick around, I'm going to share with you some of the more well hidden features that when you see them, you might be like, son of a... because maybe you've had them the whole time, but you just didn't know how to use them or where they were. So anyway, let's stop wasting time and get straight into tip one. So if you go into your settings and go to personalization, scroll down, here you'll find the AI dynamic wallpapers. If you go to this, you can add your own static image, a still image, and turn it into an animated wallpaper. And I have been playing around with this and you can get some awesome results. So let's do one real quick right now. If you hit the little plus icon in the bottom right corner, this analyzes the photo. It does take a couple of minutes to process. Also, you want to position the image how you want it to be, and then simply hit the generate button in the top right corner. This takes a couple of minutes, and if you want to, you can push finish in background, and then you can carry on doing whatever you're doing, and it will let you know once it's done. So we're going to go back into the settings. We're going to scroll down again to personalization. I'm going to choose a wallpaper. As you can see, now Batman is turning his head and opening his eyes. One of the options you got here is to add depth to the wallpaper, which will put the clock slightly behind his head, like so. So as you can see, we kind of got mixed results here with the depth effect. So it's not perfect. You have to play around with this. Maybe I should have positioned him lower down on the screen for this to work a little bit better. So let me show you another one that I made earlier that works a little bit better than this one. Here we go. It's another fan favorite Batman wallpaper. I can add the depth effect here and it'll put the time behind his head. Also, the clock has got this kind of glass-like effect to it, so it's kind of translucent, and that works quite nicely. But what I really want to show you here is the new clock options. So if you tap on the clock right here, this one here, the big clock section, has had some upgrades. I think for this particular wallpaper, the ones that are closer to the top of the screen are ideal, but you do have these massive clocks now, which take up the entire screen, and these are really quite cool. You do have to play around with this to find the right clock for the image that you're using. So definitely take a little look through these options and see which one works the best. I think that one actually looks really good, so I'm going to go with that. So what I'd recommend you do once you set up your wallpapers with the AI effect, if you go back to custom wallpaper on the home screen, you can have the animation there if you want, but the static image is less distracting on the home screen. So you can just use the regular version of that wallpaper and then add the blur effect to soften the background. So that's what I've done for my wallpaper. It just helps the app stand out clearly against the background. Okay, here's something brand new you can do with HyperOS 3.0. Go into your settings, once again, go to personalization. So we set up this wallpaper and home screen pair how we want it to be. One of the cool things that you can now do is actually add more lock screen and home screen pairs, so you can quickly switch between your favorites. So if you hit the plus right here, I want to go to AI dynamic wallpapers. I created this Yoda one that's kind of funny. He opens his eyes in a really creepy way. Again, choose the clock style that you want. This one might actually work with the big clock this time. Let's go with this one here and then add the depth. Some wallpapers will not work, unfortunately, with the depth effect, and this is one of them. So I'm going to have to go with one of the smaller clocks. Let's say that one. There we go. And we've got Yoda opening and closing his eyes. And then you can just hit apply. And now we have a second lock screen, home screen pair. And something nice about these new clocks is the always on display actually transitions into the open display. And do you know what, just for fun, I'm going to go back to personalization and AI wallpaper and add one more. Let's see what it does with this Spider-Man with the camera and run that in the background. We'll come back to that. I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, so you know as well as I do, Xiaomi has taken some inspiration from Apple recently, and they even made their latest series phones look and actually even named them similar to the Apple iPhones. And as you would expect, they've brought over some similar features here to HyperOS 3.0, including this. So I'm just going to play a tune here on Spotify, just to give you an example. Up top, we now have what's known as the HyperOS island, and you can expand it just like that. And the great thing about this is multiple apps can be running in the background and can be transitioned through here at the top in the HyperOS island. For example, the voice recorder, if we start that right here, and now if I minimize this down, you'll see we have both the music that's playing and the voice recorder here in the HyperOS island, and we can switch between them very easily, just like that. So this does support third-party music apps, also the voice recorder and various other apps. So you've got to keep an eye out for this. It is pretty handy. Also, the battery life for the earbuds will appear up here in the HyperOS island, and it just gives you a status of how much battery is left in those when you put them in your ears. So this is a nice little upgrade. So I don't know if you guys noticed, I've got a little search button down here, and that's not actually there by default. You have to activate it. What this does is it allows you to do a system search amongst your apps and your files and things like that. So if you're looking for a specific setting or anything like that on your phone, you can just type it in here now and it will show you very quickly where to go. So that's a nice little feature, and let me show you how to add it. So if you go to the settings, and then on this page, if you scroll down to home screen, and on this page right here, you'll see home screen search. It will be switched off by default. If you switch this on, now you have this quick search tool right there where your dots used to be that represent your pages. You can still use the bar right here the same way you did before, and it will still show the dots when you're swiping back and forth between the different pages that you have. Only now you have this nice little glass effect search tool to help you find anything on the device and even settings within apps as well. Okay, this is a subtle upgrade, and it's a nice little tweak that helps you lock the screen without having to push the power button. Back within the settings menu, if you scroll down again to home screen once again, here you'll see a little switch that says double tap an empty spot on the home screen to lock. Turn this on, and the setting pretty much explains exactly what it does. If you double tap in an empty space, the screen locks. Super handy if your phone's on a table and you want to lock it very quickly without having to pick it up or get your finger around the side. Okay, this is one of the biggest updates, and actually I'm super impressed with how well this works. If you go into settings, you don't really have to scroll down here. It's right here, interconnectivity, tap on that. Make sure you switch this on. So Xiaomi devices have always had interconnectivity, only now they've opened the door to the Apple ecosystem. And to get this set up correctly, you have to do this first. So on your Apple device, go to your App Store, search for Xiaomi interconnectivity. It is officially on their App Store. So that means they've gone through all of the security checks and everything. It's only got 2 reviews right now, so you might want to add your own to this once you've tried this out. Open this up once it's installed, give it the permissions required. It actually doesn't even need that many permissions, which is quite surprising. Once you've done this, now you can make use of the cross-platform interconnectivity. And one of the cool things you can do is actually turn on the home screen plus, which allows you to mirror your Xiaomi device on your Apple computer. And you can see how quickly that happened. Now I have full access to the Xiaomi device right here. And one of the cool things you can do is actually use your biometrics on your laptop to unlock your phone when it's connected. So you don't even have to touch your phone to unlock it to connect. You can literally just use your biometrics. Also, this allows you to send files and folders back and forth between the devices very seamlessly. Let me show you how seamlessly this is. Let's go to the photo gallery. Let's choose an image, this Darth Vader one. If you hit the share button and use the Xiaomi share feature right here, and you'll see right there, it can see my MacBook. So if I tap that, immediately the photo's been sent across, and that's in the download folder on the Mac. Super quick. Actually, maybe even quicker than AirDrop sometimes. And if you are a Xiaomi owner and you do use a Mac computer, you can also turn on your hotspot. So if you're traveling, you can share your mobile data very quickly with the Mac. And also you can play a sound on your device. If you lose it, you do have to go in and give it some permissions on the actual phone first for that to work. Honestly, Xiaomi's interconnectivity feature here with macOS is very impressive. I have to test it out with iPads and iPhones to see how well it works with those as well. Or you guys could do it and just let me know in the comments. This next one isn't brand new, but it might be something you want to do if you have any smart home gadgets like video doorbells, light bulbs, switches, that kind of stuff. Go into settings, and then here, if you scroll down a little bit to where you see notifications and status bar, You know what? This phone comes with a pre-installed screen protector and it leaves a lot of fingerprints. Hopefully the glass underneath is a little bit better. Okay, so on this page, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see device control and Xiaomi Smart Hub. This will allow those controls to show up in the control center right here. So you can access things very, very quickly with these two shortcuts right there. For me, for example, I have lots of Alexa devices and things, so I could connect them all up through here so I don't have to go into the Alexa app to control them. And also while we're here, you'll notice there's lots of upgrades to the buttons. They've changed the colors and things like that. If you hold your finger down on things, you get these new animations with these glass-like tiles, which are really quite nice. Okay, here is the very first bonus tip for you guys, and there are more still to come, but I want to show you this because some of you guys might be using Xiaomi devices thinking that the display is as good as it can be, but there's some hidden display settings which actually improves content that you view on the device. So jump into the settings again. This time we're going to go to display and brightness, scroll down to where you see the AI image engine, tap on that. And here you might want to switch all three of these on. Super resolution engine upscales content. And if you go to the HDR enhancement, it uses AI to improve the dynamic range of the content that you're watching. And then you've got MEMC. So if you're watching sports or anything like that and it's filmed in a lower refresh rate, this can actually make it appear to be smoother. This can also work for gaming as well. If the game only supports 30 frames per second, for example, this can enhance it all the way up to 60. So that's the first bonus tip, and there's more where those came from. Now, I test loads of Android devices, and something that I always do is add this clock right here. And loads of people ask me, where do you get it? It's actually the official Google Clock app. However, to get this precise clock that I have here is not that simple. You would expect you could just hold your finger down and go to the widget section and it will just be there. Unfortunately, it actually isn't. Let me show you what I mean. If we go to the Android widget section here, scroll all the way to the bottom where the clock is, the only available clocks are these ones and not my favorite one that you've seen on my home screen. So I found a workaround in order to add this on a Xiaomi device. And this is how you do it. So I'm just gonna go to a blank page to show you this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the Google Clock app onto that screen like this. I'm just gonna put it in the middle. Now, if you hold your finger down on the app icon, it will show add widget. And this is where you can find the alternate widgets that don't appear in Xiaomi's widget section. And it's this one right here. You can add that scallop style, and there we go. And you can make this clock quite big as well if you have the space. So that's kind of a little hidden hack that not many people know about. Okay, before we move on, I'm not gonna ask you guys to subscribe right now, but what I will say is that if you watch to the end of this video and this video has helped you in some way, well then, you know what to do. Make it so. So Xiaomi have made some changes to the floating window and what you can do with them. And one of the best ways to use floating windows on this device is to set up the smart sidebar. I think it's just called the sidebar. But the classic way to do it is to bring up your backgrounding, hold your finger down on one of your apps that are open in the background, and you'll see the options right there. The floating window is the little square within the square. The split screen is this one. If you want to lock the app, it's right there. And you'll notice the interconnectivity icon is right here. So if you are connected to a computer, you can use this to share this particular app screen with that display. But I'm going to go with the pop-up window, and there we go. That's one way to create a pop-up window. Something that's changed now is the ability to resize the window. So if you grab it from the corner, you can shrink it right down and you can bring it right back. So that involves quite a few steps to get to a floating window. There is another way, like I mentioned with the sidebar, you do have to activate this. So if you scroll all the way down to where you see additional settings right here. On this page, if you go to floating windows and turn on the smart suggestions side toolbox, this allows you to have a sidebar on the left side of the screen, and you can customize this with apps that you would want to use in pop-up windows. So if you swipe this out, straight away you'll notice you have all of your apps right there in a long list. If you hit the plus at the bottom, you can actually go in and customize the ones that are at the top of this list. So let's say the calculator could be very handy. Let's say I want quick access to Google Drive, files, maybe even, I don't know, Amazon. Once you hit done, when you bring out the sidebar, you have those apps right there. It will still stack all of the other apps underneath it. So you might want to spend a bit of time customizing that fully. But what you can now do is just grab an app and drag it onto the screen to create a pop-up floating window very quickly, and then grab the corners to adjust how you want it to appear. Now, something else quite nice about these floating windows, when you do create them, if you're only going to be using them temporarily and you want to come back to them quickly later on, if you grab that window by the bottom right corner or bottom left corner until you feel that little click, it shrinks it down to the smallest size. Now you can actually pin it to the side of the screen as opposed to having it floating, and you'll still be able to see that it is there in the background. You can just tap it anytime to bring it back. And of course, you can have multiple floating windows in the background if you want all pinned to the side of the screen. So play around with that, test it out, set up your sidebar. So if you're an old school Xiaomi fan, you'll be no stranger to the bloatware that's pre-installed on the devices. This is just one of the ways they can keep the cost low on the device. It's kind of like advertising space, but there's actually a really cool way to get rid of all of this stuff immediately. And maybe you've still got some of the stuff on the phone that you might want to get rid of, and that's why you might want to know about this tip. There is an app pre-installed on the device, and it's called the App Mall. This is Xiaomi's official store. If you go into this, on this page, if you go to Profile, here you'll find the uninstall tool right here. Just tap on that, and then you can scroll through the list of pre-installed apps and delete all of the ones that might be no use to you at all. For example, I don't really need TikTok on here, or AliExpress, or WPS Office, or Amazon Music. I don't use any of those. So I'm just going to go uninstall, free up 870 megabytes. A word of advice though, don't delete any of these Android core services, because that could mess up how your phone works. Okay, this isn't a Xiaomi HyperOS specific tip, but it is a lesser known one that you might want to know. So this is the Google search bar. As you know, it is pretty standard issue, but right now you can see it's matching my clock, and that's because you can actually customize this if you know how. And you're about to learn how. If you tap right here on the G on the search bar, hit your little icon top right corner, go to settings, scroll down, you'll see customize search widget. Here's where you can fully choose what color you want the search bar to be. I actually went with the device colors, so that's why it matches the Google clock. But you can go dark mode, light mode, system, and then custom. And if you go custom, you can choose any color you want. A couple more things you can do. If you go to shortcuts, I've added the AI mode to the search bar. So that's kind of like an AI search feature within Google. But there are other cool things here that you might want to take a look at. You can't add loads of them. Just choose the one that would be most useful to you. And once you're happy with that, you can go back. So this is an Android device and it's packed with AI. There's actually so much of it on here. And there's a new little setting that you might want to switch on. Here's where it is. If you go into the settings, there's an entire Xiaomi Hyper AI section right here. Tap on that. On this page, go to AI App Boost, and at the top you'll see Writing Assistant or Assist. Go to this and switch this on and give it all the permissions that it needs. If you haven't already activated Xiaomi's Hyper AI engine, you'll then be prompted to activate it right here. So go to this, toggle this on, agree to the permissions and hit OK. So once you've done that, you can go back to the AI Writing Assistant and switch this on. And this will appear pretty much anywhere you can access your keyboard. And you're about to see that in action. Anyway, next tip. On previous Xiaomi devices, there wasn't many options when it came to the always on display. The clock options now do show on the always on display, but there's a lot more customization you can do here now. So to get to it, if you go into your settings, go to the personalization section, and then here, if you go to always on display, you'll see all of the available options for always on display. You can explore through these and you can even add a custom image if you want to. And when we scroll back up, you'll notice I've created one of my own right here that will appear on the lock screen. And now I can actually show you that writing assistant. So I'm going to highlight what I've written here for you guys. You'll notice the little colorful pen tool pops up next to the text. And when you tap this, you get the writing tools. And here I can change the style of what I've written. So let's make it more friendly. And now, because I activated that double tap feature earlier on in this video, I can turn the screen off and there we go. So here's a little graphical upgrade that's been added to HyperOS 3.0. When you swipe up, you get your app tray or app drawer, whatever you want to call it. If you go to the settings in the top right corner, at the bottom here, you'll see the option to group icons by color. And then you'll also see the animations in color category switch. If you turn this on, now when you swipe up for your app drawer, you'll notice the colors at the bottom right here. If you tap on any of these, it will filter to apps that are that color. So if you know you're looking for a red app or yellow app or a green app, you can filter very quickly. And it's these little animations here that have been upgraded. It's a very subtle graphical difference, but it is pretty cool. And here's another little customization tip when it comes to the app drawer. So you'll notice when I swipe up, it's entirely black. It blocks out all of the wallpaper behind it. If you go to the settings here and go to backgrounds, this opens up the options to customize the background color of the app drawer and even the transparency of it as well. So if you slide this across, I think it looks pretty good just like that. Okay, tip 17. Here is a little security feature that you should definitely switch on right now if it's switched off. And here's how you can check. Go into your settings, go to security and privacy, scroll down to advanced protection. If this is off, switch it on right now. And there's a bunch of safeguarding measures all within this one setting. So definitely switch this on if you care about your security and the protection of your device. So thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. I do have a few more tips for you guys. These are bonus tips and tricks as a reward for staying this far into the video. They're not all brand new, but some of them are really well hidden. First of all, let me show you this one. When you bring up backgrounding on the phone, it opens up in this kind of tile format. If you're coming over from iOS or if you like iOS, you can actually change this to be more like iOS. If you go back into your settings, scroll down to where you see home screen right here, tap on that. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see arrange items in recent, and you can change this to horizontal. And here, if you want to, you can unlock the show memory status so you can see how much the backgrounding apps are using the resources. And something else you can do here, if you're very security conscious, you can blur certain apps when you open backgrounding. And by default, it actually activates the camera and the gallery as a blurred app straight away if you do turn this feature on. Now, when I open backgrounding, you'll notice the gallery app just here is all blurred out. You can't see what's on the screen, and the apps are actually laid out just like it is on an iPhone. And then up here, you can see how much RAM is being used. Okay, this next feature is a complete superpower that's exclusive to Xiaomi devices, but only works with other Xiaomi devices. So if your whole family are using Xiaomi, or you and all your friends all have Xiaomi devices, you're gonna love this. Let me show you what it is. Go into settings, mobile networks. At the bottom of this page, you will see the Xiaomi offline communications. Tap on that. At the top, you'll see who can call you. You can choose whether it's contacts only or everyone. And then you can also share your location with nearby people. What this essentially does, it allows you to communicate even when you don't have a phone signal. So you can still call these people as long as they're within range. And it does this via Bluetooth. So if you're going mountain climbing or you're going into the jungle or something like that,
you got to have eyes in the back of your...
I wouldn't recommend doing that, but if you did and there's no phone signal, at least you can still kind of use your phones like walkie-talkies within Bluetooth range. Do walkie-talkies even exist anymore? Okay, here's a really powerful customization trick, and this is for anyone who gets annoyed when it comes to finding passwords for whatever it is. So let me show you how to make life a little easier when it comes to this on your Xiaomi phone. Go into your settings, scroll down to the Google section right here, tap on that. And here you'll see the password manager, tap on this. To access this, you do have to put your biometrics in, so don't worry. If you go to settings right here and scroll down on this page, and here you will see the option to add the shortcut to your home screen. Tap on this. So I test loads of phones, including the iPhone, and something that I really appreciate about the iPhone is the fact that they do have a dedicated password app. And now you do too. So now you've set that up, you don't have to rely on the autofill to pop up. You can just go to the password manager and retrieve the password manually when you need it. Okay, here's another little tweak that Xiaomi have made within the photo library. What you can now do, if you go to this little section down here with a little sparkly star, is actually pin albums to the top. Now, I'm assuming you're gonna have a lot more albums than I do, but you can see at the top here, I've got some pinned already. What you can actually do is select an album that you want to pin and have this appear at the top of your gallery just by hitting the three dots here and then going to pin. And when you do pin these albums to the top, if you hold your finger down on them, you can actually add cover art for those specific albums. So if you have a family album, a friend's album, a holidays one, you can customize each of those and have them all organized very nice and neatly. And then you've also got these tools down here, including the AI film tool, where you can add images and create a kind of slideshow using AI. And you can even access the Xiaomi Pro Cut tool, which kind of lines the subject up in the photos or images automatically for you. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but let's see. Here we go. So this is a great way to just create some short form content if you're into that kind of thing. And I know you old school Android fans will know all about this, but there is actually a hidden Easter egg within the Android operating system, which is actually a fun little mini game. So if you go into your settings, go to the About Phone section here, and where you see the Android version, if you tap on this continuously, hold your finger down on this little icon here, and this launches the Landroid game. And actually in the past it was very difficult to play, but now it's a lot easier because you've got this autopilot button down here. If you tap this actually takes you to the nearest planet. The idea is you have to land on all the planets and plant your flag. I haven't actually completed it, but I think it's doable now. And before we go, there's one more thing that I want to show you guys. Let's go back once again to personalize and let's see how that Spider-Man wallpaper turned out. Let's go to this, go to the AI wallpapers, and then let's go to AI generated. And as you can see, it's added some kind of flowers underneath him. I was kind of hoping it was gonna have him taking a photo or something, but yeah. So I appreciate you guys watching this one. If this video helped you at all, well then, if you're not subscribed, you know what to do.
Make it so. Make it so. Make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so. Sir? Do it.
And if you've just done that, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. And I will see you in the next one. Don't be late.
Yeah.